This is the Mill Creek Government Channel. I'm Judy Zelina. Recycling has seen many changes since Mill Creek Township started its recycling program in 1994. What I'd like to do today is I'd like to talk about the do's and don'ts of recycling, what to put in the blue bin, what to go in garbage, and why. And who better to take us back to the basics of recycling is our very own Mill Creek Township Recycling Coordinator, Jessica James. Jessie, thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you. It's so nice to be at this beautiful new set. I'm so happy to be here with you. Your first interview here.
This is wonderful. Beautiful set, beautiful set.
It is.
The team here at WQLN did an excellent job, and I'm glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Because when Jessie and I start talking, we can talk forever on recycling.
That's true.
Yeah, but you know what? First off, Jessie, why don't you give our viewers a little overview of Mill Creek Township's recycling program?
Sure. Well, when Mill Creek's program first started, it was not single stream. You did have to separate everything out at the curbside, which is difficult for residents to do. It's time consuming, it's confusing, there's a lot of contaminants that get into the recycling. Several years ago, we were initiating a new contract with Waste Management, and it was in our best interest to go to single stream. Not only was it easier for residents, Waste Management was capable of handling the materials all mixed together, and it also gave us a cost-benefit savings in the next contract.
Well, you're saying single stream. So some of our viewers who are not familiar with the terms, what exactly is single stream, Jessie?
Single stream is where you place all recyclable materials in one bag, inside one bin, and place it out at the curbside. We then send it off to Waste Management to their facility called a MRF, and the initials are MRF, from Material Recovery Facility. And there they separate out everything, so we don't have to do it at the curb anymore.
It sounds easy, and I think with recycling, the easier,
the better.
The better, so you're gonna get more recycling.
That's true.
Okay, now you talked about a facility in Pittsburgh. Okay, what exactly occurs, you know, at this facility with our recycling?
Right, so like you, at the home, you would have to separate everything out by hand. That's not very efficient for Waste Management. So at the curb, we put it all in one bin, like I said. We send it off to Waste Management. From there, it goes onto a conveyor belt where streams of air, magnetic currents, lasers, hand sorters. This goes onto a conveyor belt, runs down the conveyor belt, and then everything is pulled off into the correct direction. That way, it's a fast-moving process, it's not time-consuming, and it's able to separate everything out at this facility. And that's where a lot of our changes come from.
And that's hard to imagine, though,
it is.
The separating.
Right. Right.
And you've actually been to this facility?
I have, actually, and I know that you were on the tour with me, so it was a really, really eye-opening experience. The facility itself, you can picture something being separated like that, but until you actually see the conveyor belt running and everybody working so efficiently, you can't picture out how all these materials would be sent to an end user at the end with a clean material. That's what we want. Good product in equals good product out. And I can mention later what goes into recycling, but that's the reason there's all these changes. A lot of times people say, you know, recycling is so hard to keep up with. There's so many changes, but that's because of either new things that end users want, so something new can go into the blue bin, or because of a materials recovery facility change. So less than a year ago, we were sending all of our recyclable material to Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
It is now going to Pittsburgh, and specifically Neville Island.
And so that's why there's different changes.
Exactly. Different facilities take different things or have different processes within the building.
Okay. I think you have something that our viewers would be able to see to understand this process a little bit better.
Right, and I can sit here and explain it, but I thought the best thing would be to show a video. It's pretty elementary, you know, geared more toward younger kids, maybe elementary or middle school age, but it is very simplistic. It explains the process very well, and I would like to show the viewers what happens at the facility.
Okay, so we're going to watch this video now.
Right.
And it will explain just a little bit more of what happens at Neville Island with recyclables that you put in your blue bin.
Exactly.
Trucks that collect these recycled materials take them to a waste management material recovery facility. As the trucks enter the facility, they are weighed at a scale house. They then make their way to the tipping floor. There, the trucks deposit the recyclables onto the floor. Ooh, what a mess! Large tractors then push the materials onto conveyors. Those conveyors feed the materials to the sorting lines. In a single sort system, the conveyor lines are continuously moving. As you can see, this requires less hand sorting from the employees. The workers on the sorting line remove boxes and cardboard from the line, then drop these materials into bins located beneath the line. Next, big whirling discs called news screens separate the newspaper from all of the other materials still moving on the line. Whoa, that newspaper can really fly! The materials that make it through the news screens then move to the next sorting area. Here, workers remove any materials that are not acceptable to newspaper mills. The materials that aren't caught by the news screens move to the angle screens. These screens provide an important function because they separate containers, plastics, and cans from paper. What started out as a mix of materials in a recycling container has gone through a lot of separating, right? But there's still more work to do in order to prepare the material for delivery to an end user, such as a paper mill. So far, we've looked at what happens to paper. We still need to look at what happens to containers. Containers just like me. Remember those news screens? Well, the containers that fell through the discs are returned to the tipping floor for additional sorting. Wow, the process begins all over again. Once the containers have been pushed up the intake feeder, the process of sorting them by type begins. Glass, aluminum, and plastics are all sorted on this line. The first step is for the materials to enter a large drum where smaller items fall through. The second part consists of magnets that remove steel products, such as food cans, from your pantry. That doesn't include me, because I'm made of aluminum. The steel products are grabbed by magnets and fed into a storage bunker where they stay until baling. The final mixture of glass, plastic, and aluminum cans are sent through a stream of air that is made by a big fan. The stream of air is only strong enough to blow plastic bottles and cans. Glass, which is heavier, falls onto another line. The glass goes one way down the line, while plastic bottles and cans go another way. It resembles a recycling highway, with everyone racing to the finish line. At this MRF, glass is sorted by hand into 3 colors: green, amber or brown, and clear. Glass is stored in bunkers before being shipped to markets that will make it into new glass products. Plastics and aluminum can sorting is done with a vibrating conveyor, which divides these materials onto 2 sorting lines. The plastic bottles are thrown into chutes where they wait to be formed into big bales for shipping. Now to what I consider the most important part. Me! Aluminum cans. Aluminum is actually repelled by magnets that throw guys like me into a storage silo. Now that all the materials have been sorted, we move to the balers. These balers compress the various products into big bricks. These bricks are easier to store, move around, and ship. Balers squeeze the materials into a small box and then press the material out of the box. A metal strap is then tied around the materials to hold them together.
It's a lot of information.
And
it is,
I'm going to tell you, it is amazing to watch, isn't it, Jessie?
It is. And seeing it in person, I mean, you finally understand why everything needs to be clean going in, why you need to know what exactly goes into the bin and what does not.
Okay, as you can see now, we are surrounded with many recyclable items. So, Jessie, I'd like to get into the actual nitty-gritty of what we can recycle and what is not acceptable.
Sure. Okay, so the items that do go into the blue bin, first and foremost, are your paper products.
And again, everything goes in together. That's what the single stream is.
Right,
no separating.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So your paper products are great because you do have a lot of these at the office and at the home. I brought some examples here, but your paper products include your envelopes, junk mail, your office paper, magazines. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a good job of showing these, but your office paper, your envelopes, your magazines, and your newspapers. Those are your main paper products that should go in. as well as brown paper bags. If you have any brown paper bags like you're putting in lunch, as long as they don't get soiled, and they should be fine to go in. The other thing I want to mention is your paper shredding. A lot of people, think it's too small. It maybe get caught in the machines, but it doesn't. And I have a smaller bag here of it, but as long as you have a larger bag, I would say maybe 33-gallon bag of shredding, bundle it in the bag, and then it can go to waste management.
Sure.
The next thing we have is cardboard. And cardboard can go in, but it does need to be broken down and bundled. I've just done it here with a rubber band. I know there's some pieces bigger than others. Bundling and breaking down is the best way. But, I know that if you can just stick box inside a box, the waste management trucks have compactors, so they will all get crushed eventually. So if you don't, if you can't bundle and break down, it will be taken still. I want to make sure everybody knows that.
All right.
Moving on to the plastics, and I joked everybody is going to know what I buy for my groceries, but going on to plastics.
Everything's organic.
Exactly. But going to the plastics, you can recycle plastics numbers 1 through 7, which is important. So your water bottles, any containers, they don't just have to be bottles.
How do I know the number?
Right. So on the bottom of each recyclable item is a small recycle symbol with a number inside. And again, any number that's inside of it, as long as you see the recycle symbol, we're good to accept them now.
All right.
Okay. The next thing I have is glass. These are 2 glass bottles here, but we also take glass containers or bottles. These can be green, clear, brown, blue. It doesn't matter about the color.
Okay, but it's glass bottles.
A glass bottle or container.
All right.
The next thing I have over here in the far corner are aluminum, steel, or tin cans. It doesn't matter which type of metal can, as long as it is metal and it's a can, it can go in.
All right. Do I have to wash and rinse my cans and bottles before I put them in recycling?
That's the best option, and the reason we like people to do that is for 2 reasons. A clean product going in makes it more valuable on the way out. The other reason I suggest it is that during those hot summer days, you don't want to have residue in there that would attract bees or animals inside your recycle bin.
Right.
So I would suggest to do it.
Sure. Okay.
The last thing I have here on the table is a cereal box, and that's because it's this paperboard material. It almost seems like a really thin cardboard, but that's your cereal boxes, your spaghetti boxes, things like that.
What about the paper inside that the cereal comes in?
Yes, so that waxy
recyclable
plastic,
too?
that is not recyclable.
Okay.
So you're going to have to pull that cereal bag out and just recycle the box.
All right.
Okay. So I wanted to move on from things that can go in the blue bin to things that cannot go into the blue bin. And that just contaminates our recycling on the back end. I do get those numbers from Waste Management as to how much our residents recycled. I also get the number as to how many contaminants were put in our recycling. So, but I wanted to let you know what those were. The first thing I have here is a paper towel, which you would, not understand, I guess, looking at the rest of the paper items.
Paper.
Yeah, right. You just wouldn't understand. But what happens is this is not as strong as a fiber, so they do not want paper towels inside of the recycle bin.
Good to know.
Right. So if it is soiled or it's maybe not contaminated, I would put it in your compost bin, but not the recycle bin.
Okay, and that's a whole nother show, people.
Right.
Okay.
We'll get there later. The other thing I have here is a drinking glass. This glass is not made of the same material as the glass bottles, so they do not want drinking glasses inside of our blue bin. This CD case is a number 6 plastic. But with that being said, on the conveyor belt, it tends to splinter and kind of fall through the cracks. So we do not want CD cases inside of the blue bin.
All right.
And the same
Didn't
goes,
know that.
right, it's just, it's one of those where you're welcome to look at our website to find out what is and what is not, but plastic silverware always does not go in the blue bin as well. It does shatter, and it's too small for the conveyor belts
All right.
that we saw.
Okay.
So I'm going to set those up here. Okay. I've got a light bulb up here, and of course the outside is a glass material. But with the bulb inside, it does have hazardous materials. So we don't want to put this in a blue bin. We also don't want to put it in the trash. So your light bulbs should go back to either the At Your Door program or a household hazardous waste program.
All right.
I've got an aerosol can here. And again, it's made of the metal can, but because of the aerosol and the pressurized air inside the container, it could cause an explosion at the facility. So our best option here is to call the At Your Door program again to get rid of any household hazardous materials or any electronics.
All right.
And I can give you that number as well.
Okay.
The last two things, actually three things I have. One is batteries. Batteries cannot go in the blue bin. Depending on what kind they are, most of the heavy metals have been removed from the batteries. So you can either wrap them in newspaper or put them in the trash, or our At Your Door program also accepts household batteries as well.
All right.
Another thing I have here, and I know, and I'm not sure if this one will or not, is a styrofoam container. A lot of times styrofoam does have the recycle symbol on it that I talked about and a number inside. So you would automatically think that it's recyclable, but it's not. We do not have any end users on this side of the coast. I do believe they're taken out on the West Coast for recycling, which is why the number is there in the first place. But these do need to go in the trash, and there's really no other good avenue for them.
Okay.
And the last
so that's why some items you can't recycle, because there isn't a market for it.
Exactly.
Here on the East Coast.
And a viable market that's economically sound for waste management to use.
Okay.
And the last one I have is our plastic bag. And again here, and I can point out, it does have a recycle symbol on it. So it is recyclable in the right area. This should not go in our blue bin. As you watch the video, we've got a lot of mechanisms turning and winding and moving around. These plastic bags get caught around those mechanisms. They end up stopping the process, which of course costs time and money. So these should not go in the blue bin. I know everybody thinks that they're plastic and they've got a number on them, but this is definitely not one that should go in. The best option for these bags is to stockpile them. Once you get a bunch, you're going to want to take them back to the retailer that you got them at. Then they will be recycled. But you do have to actually take them back as a drop-off item to the retailer you purchased them at. So, of course, you know me, but my best suggestion is to take the fabric totes to the grocery store. So keep those in your car and take those back rather than grab these.
Really, and there are so many around. You can purchase them. We have them at the municipal building. We use at different shows as giveaways. But I do want to point out those plastic bags. This is something new that we learned when we went to Pittsburgh, when we went to Neville Island.
Right.
It's something new because honestly, I was putting all my recyclables in that bag.
In the bag, right.
And they actually do have to stop the conveyor belt, actually harness somebody and bring them over the conveyor belt to cut those bags off.
Right, it's quite the effort.
Yes.
So you can see, why we've made a big push for it this time to not include those.
Then they start giving us check marks, and that goes against what we call our residue rate.
Right, right.
If there's too many bags. So, again, that's pretty much our newest thing is the bags.
Is the bag. Do
not include, put in your blue bin.
That's correct.
We're talking about recycling. Jesse, what is the significance of recycling? Why do we do it?
Right. Well, there's so many benefits. I mean, there's environmental benefits. We want to decrease pollution. We've got the lake here. We want to make sure we're not damaging our natural resources and our tourism here in Erie. Another thing is that if you're not recycling, of course, everything is going to the Lakeview landfill. And that is actually going to be capped, at least the first hill, the large one that everybody can see, but it's going to be capped pretty soon. The height that it should be capped at is 1,545 feet, and I think it is at 1,500 feet right now.
What's going to happen then?
Well, at that point, and they've already started a cell to the south. I believe it's about 19 acres long right now and 25 feet high. So they do have to make a second hill for the landfill. But they've got a lot of room to expand. I believe they have 90 acres to expand. So with that, I mean, the more we send to the landfill, the bigger and bigger. I mean, at this point, it's as tall as it can get. Now it's just going to get wider.
You know, Jessie, I want to briefly let our viewers know about the At Your Door program.
Yes.
You mentioned that a couple times.
I did.
There may be some viewers who are not aware of it, so
Right.
could you give a quick recap on that program?
I can. The At Your Door program is a program we set up with Waste Management for our curbside residential users, those who are on the quarterly billing system. They can use the At Your Door program to get rid of household hazardous waste, so chemicals, aerosol cans, batteries, thermometers, and also electronics, televisions, computers, any of the peripherals that go with your computer. And that's because electronics and computers are not accepted at the landfill anymore. There are too many heavy metals in those items. We needed a service to help get rid of those materials.
How much is this going to cost me?
This is available at no additional fee to the residents. So it is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful program.
It really is. Now, you have used it personally, haven't you?
I have. It's so simple. They send you the bag in the mail ahead of time. It's like a kit. And you can stick all of your items inside, and I like to stockpile my items. That way I'm not calling too often. But I stockpile those items, I stick everything inside the bag, and then you place it right at your front door.
Well, I'm stockpiling right now.
I know.
I clean my basement. I don't know. I buy cleaning supplies, use it once, don't like it.
Yeah.
I have 50 million things down there.
Right.
Great way to get rid of things.
It is.
And the correct way. And again, when we were down in Pittsburgh and Neville Island, we did get to tour the facility where the electronics and household hazardous waste is taken.
We did, and it was wonderful. They do the proper thing with them.
Yes, they do.
They've got third-party certifications coming in to make sure they're doing it the right way, and our items aren't being shipped overseas, like our computers and our circuit boards.
So it's safe. I mean,
It
it's
is.
the safe way to do it, and it's at no additional cost. Now, is there a limit number of times that I can use this service?
There's no limit, which is nice. So, and I do want to say Mill Creek actually doubles the participation rate of the state, and we triple the national average. So when you do call the number, they're probably going to give you a date that's about 3 weeks out, but that's because we use it so heavily in Mill Creek, and it's so successful. I get back the comment cards, and I have never received a bad comment about the program. But we use it so frequently, but that 3 weeks does give you time to accumulate what you're trying to dispose of properly.
That's right. What I think is so important too is the whole bottom line is, I'm going to jump back a little bit to the landfill. We were talking earlier, I did not realize that it was going to be capped soon.
Right, in a couple years.
We have another program for people, Jessie, that do not generate a lot of trash.
That's correct.
Do you want to tell our viewers about the per bag program?
Right, the per bag program. And like I said, and I did want to go over these items that can go in the recycle bin. And you don't have to, and I also suggest composting, backyard composting. When you are able to divert so much from the trash, you do not really need to be on the quarterly system because you're paying for unlimited trash on the quarterly system, and that's $60.54 a quarter. But if you are able to divert those materials, you would then pay by the bag on the green per bag program. And that's nice. I'm on that myself right now, so I love it. And you only pay $5 per bag. Myself, I can just give you my example, but I only set my trash out twice a month, so I've cut my trash bill down to $10 a month instead of the $60 a quarter.
What happens with all of my recycling?
All the recycling stays the same. It's still unlimited, and you're still included in the 6 weeks of leaf collection.
Okay.
So really nothing changes except for how much you put at the curbside.
So it is a great program. It really is cost saving, and it's very nice for people. We have a lot of what we call the snowbirds.
Exactly.
That, you know, go south, and when they come back, really, they don't generate a lot of trash.
Right. And you're right, the snowbirds who are not here a lot, or the people in 1 to 2 person households.
Exactly.
I know, you know, that my household doesn't generate enough trash to use an unlimited system.
Right. You mentioned, you know, we're talking about recycling, but tell me about leaf pickup in Mill Creek.
Right.
We recycle those, don't we?
We do. And you know, like I just mentioned, all the recycling goes to Neville Island. All of our leaves that are put out at the curbside, we've initiated a program with Waste Management to have every curbside bag of leaves collected and taken to the Mill Fair Compost and Recycling Center. From there, we have adult probation volunteers come in. We're very lucky to have them. And between some of the machines we have at Mill Fair and the adult probation workers, we unbag each of the leaves you put at the curbside and we compost them.
I do want to point out, she's talking about, when she says we,
yes,
She really is not kidding. She's out there,
Right.
you know, unloading these bags, and I've done that too. And it's a very thankless job.
Right. It's usually cold and...
Yeah, it's cold and rainy. We've been out in all kinds of weather.
Right. Right.
So, and we're very, very proud of that facility too, because we're taking this. We started this year taking not only Mill Creek and Fairview's leaves, but we've expanded it, right, Jess?
We have, and the reason we did that was because we sell the product that we make. So the product, the leaves come in, they compost, and they produce a really beautiful, rich, dark compost for us that we can sell back to residents. We were selling out so fast out of that compost. Mill Fair opens on April 1st each year. We were selling out by May 15th. So only a month and a half later, we didn't have a product left. So we did start accepting curbside leaves, and this was again being picked up by Waste Management, but we were accepting the curbside leaves from Waste Management from not only Mill Creek, but also Fairview, and at times Harbor Creek. So depending on Harbor Creek, if they needed their own leaves or not, we would take all three municipalities' leaves.
We have a lot of leaves out there.
We do. It actually equals over 500 tons.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I've seen some residents, and you certainly don't have to bag your leaves. If you want to use a mulching mower and leave it on your grass, that is fine too. We don't need you to bag them. But I've seen some residents set out 80 bags of leaves.
Oh my gosh.
So they use the program.
Okay. Now, Jessie, this is a lot of information to take in all at once for our viewers.
Yes.
So is there somewhere that our viewers can go to actually keep up to date on what's going on with our recycling program?
Absolutely.
What changes are in effect?
Yes. So, right, things change fast,
Yes,
and it's
they do.
because we change facilities or we change procedures. So the one thing that everybody should have received in the mail is our 2014 Mill Creek calendar, and this year's issue is a green theme. So we've kind of tried to highlight each different initiative in Mill Creek that's occurred in the last couple of years to make our community a little more sustainable. But in the back of this calendar, there are appendix pages that outline the do's and don'ts of recycling in the back of the calendar. So that's a great resource there. The other thing I have here is the In Community magazine, and this gets sent out quarterly, and the recycling department usually has a 2-page spread just detailing the new trends, tips, news for recycling in the township.
Okay.
The other thing we just recently did, and we wanted to reach a younger audience and keep people a little more up to date, but we started a Facebook group. And if you were to just search it on Facebook, it's Mill Creek Township Recycling, and that's our Facebook group. And we update that, I would say, every 2 to 3 days with new information, new tips, things going on in the area. I know we've recently been posting about the bad weather, and we had Waste Management wasn't able to collect. I think it was negative 30 below wind chill, and Waste Management wasn't able to collect. So I did post that on the Facebook group first and kept everybody up to date as to which neighborhoods were able to be collected, which were not. So I do try to keep people updated through Facebook. So if you like us, it'll send you the automatic updates.
Which is nice. And then you can even share it with your friends.
Exactly.
So the word really does get out about
Right.
the recycling.
Right.
Okay, Jessie, now, if anyone has any questions on anything that we've talked about here today, what's the best way to contact you?
The best way to contact me is through phone or by email. My phone number is 814-833-1111, extension 317, or my email address is jjames@millcreektownship.com. And of course, I do keep the website very up to date. So if you have any questions about a waste management holiday or the do's and don'ts of recycling, the website is also a great place to check if you don't have time to call or email.
Okay, and I do want to mention real quickly about the calendar.
Yes.
Jessie did a wonderful job on it. Please take the time. Every month she's got a new tip on recycling. She spent a lot of time on it. It's a great calendar.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think we're going to win first place on the PSAS contest this year.
Me
That's
too.
That's what I'm guessing.
I think so too, I hope.
Jessie, thank you so much for joining us today. You always have tons of information. It's interesting. Jessie and I can talk forever, quite honestly, on this. But again, if you have any questions, feel free, give her a call. She'll be glad to help you. Oh, I want to mention real quickly, if you can give her a call or email if you have any questions. She started in the magazine and Ask the Recycling Coordinator page.
Right.
So it's frequently asked questions. So again, Jessie, thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Viewers, thank you for tuning into the Mill Creek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Mill Creek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.